Welcome back, and thanks for listening in to another episode of RNT Fitness Radio. This week, Akash and I have our business coach on the line, Vince Del Monte. So Vince first got into the industry as a trainer himself and has built his name through those means. He was very skinny when he was younger. He worked out how to add muscle to his frame, and since then he's helped thousands of guys do the same. As he's gotten older, he's now very, very family focused, as you're about to tell from the episode. And he's worked out, what works and what doesn't work in business. He's made mistakes. He's come up with new ideas, and he is who Akash and I have chosen to sort of guide us down this path. He also discusses what he terms as the 5M's of manhood. I'm not going to ruin that for you in the intro, as I'll probably butcher it. I'm going to save that for the episode, and Vince will go through it himself. I just wanted to finish on a note in the value that Akash and I place on coaching ourselves. Now, a lot of clients don't know this, but we also hire physique coaches. So when I compete, I hire Joe Binley, the owner of Project AD Supplements. He's a very, very smart guy, and that's who I trust with my physique whenever I'm getting ready to compete on stage and want that second eye. And Akash has been working with a guy called Derek for, I think, must be about 3 years now, solidly. No breaks in between off-season competition prep. They just work very, very well together. And it saves Akash a lot of time and stress, worrying about his own routines, his own nutrition. He just outsources it to Derek. He trusts him 100%, and the results are speaking for themselves. And the same also carries over into business, where business is new to Akash and I. Set up RNT Fitness. We've been training clients for years. We know how to get results with clients, but business is a new challenge. It's for that reason that we hired Vince, so that we have that accountability. We have that unbiased eye. We have somebody that's been there and he's made the mistakes, and he's guided other people through it. So we place a huge value on coaching on different areas of life. If you don't excel at something and you want to be the best, outsource and hire somebody that's kind of been there and done it, I guess. As always, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'm just going to finish this one by saying by saying that if you are enjoying our content, please just hit subscribe in iTunes or in Stitcher, and if you do have a spare 2 minutes, it would be great if you could leave us a review. This way, we can kind of target the content that we're putting out there. It would be great to hear back from you guys as to whether you're enjoying sort of the lifestyle stuff, whether you want more serious training talk, whether nutrition is your thing. So please feed back to us. So for those of you that have been following us over the last few podcasts, you would have heard Akash and I reference our Tampa mastermind, where we've met some awesome people out there. And actually, the guy that's responsible for having us attend is Vince, who we're interviewing today. So Vince is our business coach that we've been working with since, is it August, Akash?
August, yeah.
Yeah, August. And so far, everything's gone to plan. We're just following what he says, trusting the process, attend these masterminds, which is, so far, it's been a game changer. And and he just puts out some amazing content himself for if you're our followers and you're into wanting to make your body look better, Vince covers that content. And also, if you're interested in the business side of it as well, he's got that covered. And actually, this segues me let's go straight into the 5M's, because this is what you're all about, right?
Yeah. So my business coach told me back in the summer, when I was struggling, just trying to get clear on the vision for my business, the path for my business, he essentially told me this: Vince, if you don't stand out differently, you don't stand out at all. And for the past 10 years, I've built a name in the fitness space as a muscle building coach. My specialty are muscle building workouts. While I know quite a bit about nutrition, I wouldn't consider myself a nutritionist. I stick to my guns when it comes to programming for muscle building, when it comes to motivating for muscle building. The entire approach to building muscle in the most direct and effective way, I feel like I've figured that out specifically for the natural guy. So I've built in a brand around helping skinny guys build muscle without drugs, without supplements, and in less time. And this has been my brand for the last 10 years. But this past summer, just started feeling things were a little off with the YouTube channel. The engagement wasn't what it once was. And I almost kind of there was a struggle. I started comparing myself to one of the most popular YouTubers who started at the same time as me, Jeff Cavalier. You guys probably all know him, over 4.5 million YouTube subscribers. Great guy. Only massive respect for the dude. But what happened is I started to develop jealousy towards the guy. And I started looking at a lot of his videos, and I was kind of starting to critique some of them in my own without naming him. And that was a red flag, because I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of guy to do that. And I'm like, shoot, I'm lost. I'm creating content that isn't true to me. And this was the same time that I had this conversation with my business coach, that if you don't stand out differently, you don't stand out at all. So, I was creating this content that was, on exercise execution, which is a topic I'm really good at, but it's not like what I live and die for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I could talk about it, don't get me wrong, but I'll be honest, after 5-10 minutes, you'll see my eyes going all over the place.
And at one point in time, that probably would have been what you lived and breathed, right?
Yes.
We go through like phases in life. Yeah. Priorities.
Yeah, so, I needed outside eyes, just like we all do. I needed outside eyes to tell me you're not in alignment with who you are. Vince, you're a muscle building guy. Like, you are great at creating the workouts and being super motivational and adding like a motivational spin on how to use the gym as a metaphor for life. And I was getting away from that. I wasn't embracing what I truly love doing, which is online business. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've had many masterminds in the past. I've coached many guys, but I wasn't talking about that on my platform. I was kind of keeping that just quiet because I wasn't sure how to blend the two worlds. Like, shoot, now people are going to see me as a business coach, but I'm also a muscle building guy. So how do you do that? And I was afraid because no one else was really doing that. And then finally, I'm a faith man, and I'm a family man. And when I do post on like that, just on Instagram, you can go look at the numbers yourself. Whenever I talk about faith and family, those ones get the most engagement, and I wasn't even sharing any of that.
Even like the stories of your kids yesterday dancing, and it was Amelia pushing the young one. Yeah, I mean that's the stuff that, like, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time now, like training myself. But it's those videos that for me, they stand out.
Thank you. Yeah.
There's more substance to it, right? Than just
and I've always had family for 7 years, but I've been afraid. I haven't been sure. And this past summer, I realized that I needed to rebrand myself, and I needed to bring the real Vince Del Monte forward. There's a Vince Del Monte on YouTube that has a lot of haters and trolls and people that don't like that version. I'm like, I don't have any haters or trolls in the real world. Like, people that actually know me, they'll love me and say, yeah, man, you're a cool guy. And I'm like, so where's the disconnect? It was because I wasn't being who I am off camera, on camera. So that was a part of the reason M5 came to be. And M5 is embracing the 5M's of becoming a better man. And the 5M's are muscle, mindset, money, mission, and marriage. And these all represent different seasons in every man's life. And while every man's journey and transformation is different from another guy's, I think there's a lot of parallels. Just for instance, of those 5M's, I would say muscle is the easiest one. And, a lot of guys, you see a lot of big dudes whose bodies have grown faster than their minds. I meet these guys at the expo, and they can't communicate clearly. They've got a scarcity mindset. They can't make eye contact. And yet these guys are monsters, shredded, huge dudes, and their bodies have grown quicker than their minds. So, there's muscle, then there's mindset. And then a lot of guys that I meet are just like you. You guys have skills. You guys have a diehard passion for helping others. You guys have enormous credibility. And you've seen an opportunity to take your passion and your credibility and to turn it into an awesome business, to impact people, to influence others, and to improve your own income. And that's what I'm really passionate about. And what I learned is, like, my guy, if we use technical marketing terms, my avatar, like, you guys are my avatar, guys that want to take their expertise and then figure out how to use the internet as a vehicle to monetize it and to create products and services and to use the platforms available to reach people and then to turn them from fans into paying customers. And that's the money piece. And then, for the money piece, that can take quite a few years because the internet is so different now. And, what you guys are doing, I can't applaud your path more than anything, because what you guys are doing is exactly what you need to be doing. You're building up your celebrity, you're helping people, you're getting people results, and you need to just continue to do that until you're a household name. And that just takes time. And when that happens, then you'll have a following who wants to invest into you because you've invested into them. Mm-hmm. And that's when they invest into your services. And then the funds come in, and then the funds can be used to now fund your mission. Because the truth is like a lot of us get into this as like a career, like, we have to pay the bills. Like everyone's got all these grand dreams, right? They want to go do all these big things, but you need money. You need funds to impact people. So we have to focus on this for many years until you stabilize your financial foundation, until you're making, 5 figures, 6 figures a month kind of thing. And then you can make a shift to maybe going beyond your skill set, which is what I'm doing now. Like literally I spent 10 years helping guys build their biceps. I spent 10 guys just helping guys with their macros. And I spent 10 years talking about squats or leg extension. I spent 10 years having those conversations and creating those programs to help guys with that muscle piece. But now, I can't do this any longer. Like I'm going to continue pumping up muscle, but now I want to talk about more than just muscle because it's where I'm at in life. And it's where a lot of men are in life. Like the muscle isn't there just to look great. While that can be a part of your life, a season of your life, it's going to get old eventually, and you're going to want to figure out how to service the world. And then that's where we can start thinking about, so what could we do? Maybe your brand starts, every percentage of dollars that come in, you now start supporting a charity, or you start running camps for underprivileged kids. But like, you wouldn't be able to carve out that time. I guess you could, but it'd be tougher if your own needs haven't been met. And that's why I always tell guys, you do need to take care of your own needs. I see all these, because I'm in the faith world, the church world, and they want to go impact the world, but they've got no money to go do it. Yeah. And the people that are making the biggest impact are the ones that are skilled and that have money, and they can make the greatest donations. So, some people might see that as selfish. It's actually not. It's smart, because the people that make the biggest impact are the ones that can give the most. So that's why you have to get really, really good. You have to learn the marketing, because then you can move on to your mission. And then for me, my mission is helping men build great bodies, build great businesses, and have great families without any one of those getting kicked to the curb. I really believe that it isn't a hustle and grind 18-hour a day thing, maybe for seasons, but not all the time. That's not sustainable. And I don't believe that's really appealing to people. So then the final piece is that when we've done all this, you've got all this, most women, I would say almost all women, are attracted to a man on a mission.
Yeah.
Women do not want to be the one on the mission who are providing. While they can, I think deep down, most of them are looking for a man that knows where he's going in life with or without her. And she wants to be a part of that. And a woman that wants to be beside a man that's going someplace says a lot about her, because most women would be terrified of that. And they would be like, holy crap, this guy's way too ambitious. This guy's way too goal-oriented. This guy's just way too intense. Why can't this guy just relax? And I've heard some dudes say, oh, my wife can't keep up to me. That's good. If you want her to keep up to you, then marry a dude. Like marry another man then, because you don't want to be with someone like you. So that's kind of the final piece, the marriage piece, finding somebody who is ready to support you and who you're ready to support back, because marriage is a two-way street. And this is the hardest thing for, ambitious guys, is you need to sacrifice for her. You need to ensure you're meeting her needs. And you have to flip the table and ask yourself, what's it like being married to me? Have you ever thought about that? Because, man, oh man, I feel sorry for Flavia many days, because I'm just sometimes in my own world, and she's taking care of the kids. And it's just like my stuff, my stuff, my stuff. So it's now like we're at this final chapter. We're really trying to figure out how to become the ultimate version of ourselves. And that requires sacrifice when we spent our whole life building up our own stuff. And then when we achieve that, you're now able to share it with somebody else. And I think that's, again, marriage isn't for everybody, but I think for many people, that's something that they want to achieve because they want to have kids. And I believe your true legacy in life are your kids and what you leave behind through them. So if you're not investing into your family, then yeah, you could build something, but everyone will forget it before you know it. So, but the kids live on and their kids live on. So, so that's kind of the M5 framework of, maximizing the 5M's of manhood.
Yeah, for me, I love the 5M's. Like I'd followed you previously, for all the fitness related stuff. And it's cool. Like I'm into training as well. And then it was really when you started like putting out more of these life type posts, posting about like MIT's, like most important tasks, getting those done. And then the stuff with your family, that kind of had me follow like you as Vince rather than just a fitness guy. And then I remember I was doing some cardio and I was listening to a podcast you did with Phil Graham. And you mentioned the 5M's over there. And then sort of the business side of things. And I literally text Akash saying, because we hadn't spoke really, I don't think, about hiring a business coach. But we were going to do a social media course, weren't we? We're going to do a social media course. That's it. That's what we were putting our money towards. Right? We'd had a little bit of money that we'd saved up, and I found this course online to teach us like Facebook and social media, and that was what we were going to go for. And I'd listened to this podcast, and I texted him saying, "Got an idea? Like we need to talk. Give me a call when you're free." And it turns out he was actually going to call me to say, I think we should hire Vince as a coach. And I was calling him for exactly on the same day. I called him and said, right, I've just been listening to a podcast with Phil and Vince Del Monte. I think we should just take the plunge and just hire him. And he's like, what? You've just pretty much read my mind.
Yeah, so I'd taken a ton of notes on that podcast. And what struck to me was, unlike the other people, you're more attainable. You weren't selling the whole hustle and grind, or you weren't selling a lifestyle that was just so far beyond where we were that we just couldn't relate to it, like a lot of these business guys are kind of preaching. So I think the way you've marketed it as being attainable, and that it is attainable, right? And
sustainable. You've been there, you've been holding it. You haven't just flash in the pan, like peaked and troughed. It's, as you said, you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah. And I've had a lot of, struggles. Recently I shared when my YouTube channel got attacked by an army of trolls because I posted an infographic around which makes you fat, carbs or calories. And whatever the answer is, they didn't like my answer. And I got taken to town by these, some of the most well-known guys in the evidence-based scientific community and their minions. They had a heyday with me. And I guess they organized, I actually went to the Olympia and I was going through the expo and some kid came up to me with a camera and I noticed the red light. He was recording me and he said, do you have anything to say? And he named this private group on Facebook. I never heard of it before. And I guess it's this private Facebook group. It's just a bunch of idiots, trolls that orchestrate attacks on other YouTube channels. And what happens with YouTube is that if you flag somebody's video enough times, it will get taken down. And if it gets taken down, you can't get access to your account for 3 days. And then if a second video comes down within 2 weeks, you can't get access to your account for 2 weeks. And then if you get 3 videos taken down, so like 3 strikes, your entire YouTube channel gets disabled. And I went to my channel one day. This was literally a couple weeks after my firstborn was born. For anyone listening who has kids, they know that those first few months with a newborn are, man, oh man, a disaster. Very stressful. That means more obviously for the wife, but still, it's very, very stressful. And if this is all happening then, of like everything else I want to deal with, and I go to my YouTube channel and it says this channel has been removed for violating YouTube's terms and services. So it looked like I did something wrong. So that created another whole spin of videos, people like capitalizing. Oh, look, Vince is breaking the rules. See, Vince is a scammer. He probably scammed too many people. Like I posted those people. I'm like, name one person I've scammed. Name one person. What's their name? Tell me one person I've scammed my entire life. Name them, you idiots. Anyways, what I'm saying is that I really sell the attainability because, you know, it hasn't been easy for me. And I've had to survive. I've had to recover. I've had to pivot through this landscape. And some of it I brought upon myself. You know, one lesson from that whole ordeal, anyone listening, do not pick on other people's nutrition programs. Having debates with people on any dietary method, even if you're trying to do it to educate your followers, I just feel like, yes, do I like to watch debates? Sure. Are they interesting? Are they entertaining? Yes. But unless you're like freaking Jordan Peterson, do not get into debates. You know what I mean? Unless you're at that like high level academic scholar, one of the top people in the world, you just make yourself look like an idiot. So I was speaking about stuff that I wasn't an expert on. I should have avoided the whole nutrition conversation. I should have stuck to what I'm good at, because no one ever attacks me for my muscle building workout knowledge, my muscle building motivation knowledge. I've never been attacked for my online business knowledge, my family value. Like, you know what I'm saying? But people do notice when someone's talking about something that they're not very clear on, and they don't like that. So, and that's a warning. You know, if you don't know something and you're not comfortable speaking to it, just don't touch it. It's not worth it.
Interesting. That's good information.
And it's okay to say, hey, like, listen, guys, like what we're about to talk about here is my thoughts. And maybe kind of, if you're going to try and do it, come more under the radar as opposed to like coming out as like, I've discovered this, like, because you'll get taken to town.
Yeah, make sure it's your opinion rather than an authority on it, unless you are an authority, right?
Yeah. And if people are thinking, Vince, you're trying to scare me, or am I not allowed to say anything? I am trying to scare you. I'm trying to get you to think before you post something, because a lot of people, they abuse their power. They have these platforms and they're abusing people's time, and they're not respecting their attention. So if you're going to put something out there, if you can take that really seriously, your audience will like really fall in love with you, and they'll become like, I think the ultimate thing, Andy Frazilis talked about this, the CEO of 5M's supplements, and he spoke at Fitness Business Summit this past weekend, and their supplement company is on pace for $200 million a year, or $200 million this year. I believe that's what he said at the stage. Anyways, his big thing, he talked about one word: loyalty. And what do you need to do to not just get your people to like, know, and trust you, or love, know, and trust you, but to be loyal to the death? And his whole thing was, how do you get your people to be loyal to you? Because the first thing you need to do online is you need to get people to trust you. All right. And how do you get people to trust you? Well, you have to give them a piece of advice that helps them. But oftentimes we have to give them multiple pieces of advice. And what we're trying to move them towards is a point where they don't question anything you say. So if you're talking about stuff that you're not an expert on, then they're going to lose trust. But if you're talking about something you're an expert on, they'll gain that trust to the point where they won't question anything you say. Yep. And that takes time. But if you can really embrace that, you will have people that are loyal to you for life.
Interesting. That's pretty much what we're aiming to do with RNT, isn't it? We've got our little loyal following that they love our stuff. You know, they message us after podcasts, and yeah, we just try and put out good value, good information.
Keep that new word in your mind. How do we increase loyalty today? And it all comes back to increasing trust. And we want to move from like, they like me, they know me, they don't fully trust me yet, but we want to get them to the point where whatever you say, they don't have to like go read 6 articles or talk to 3 people. They just like, okay, I trust this guy. I know he spends his whole day researching this, speaking to experts on this. I can continue to come back to this guy. And like, when you can become that guy to people, you'll never struggle another day in your life.
Yeah. So obviously we've spoken about the 2 kids that you've got at the moment. So you're a dad, you've got a 3rd one on the way. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You're also a husband, entrepreneur, you lift. How do you find balance across all of this?
I don't. My life is not balanced at all.
It's exactly the answer I was hoping for. Yeah.
It's not balanced. I have what Craig taught me. He says I have a work-life mix.
Yeah.
I have a mixture of things. But right now my wife is a full-time mom. She's embraced that. Kids are only young for so long. So right now I focus on working from 8:45 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
I was about to ask, actually, could you talk us through like a day in the life?
It's
like
really
you train early as well, right?
Yeah. I've programmed my body to wake up before 5 a.m. every day without an alarm clock, via supplements, via what time I go to bed. I've really dialed that in. It's taken me about 2 years, but my body wakes up like almost exact. Even when I travel, it's crazy. So I'm at the gym at around 6. So between 4:55 to 6. I do a little reading in the morning. Usually I just got my phone. I might maybe do a devotional, or I'll kind of take my time, to be honest. I might sometimes, I have a bit of a bad habit of sometimes just checking some quick social media. And then I'll go down and have my fully loaded supplement, which is a number of ingredients that basically give me tunnel vision for 12 hours. And then I'm at the gym, sometimes in the parking lot around 5:45 to 6, and I'm doing my social media in the car. That's where I do my stories. I'm also letting the caffeine really get in there until I feel like I'm ready to go train. Then I go train from 6:30ish to about 8. I got to be home by 8, and then help Flavia with the kids, have breakfast with the family from 8 to 8:45. And then I help the kids get all bundled up in the car. She takes them to school. And then from 9 to 4:30, I work. 9 to 4:30, Monday to Friday is my work hours. And it mixes, most of my coaching calls are on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. We use a calendar. So I'm a huge believer in scripting your day. So my coaching clients can book in their times on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays. Mondays are my enable the team days. So that's where I talk to all my key team members and ensure they know what they need to have done by Friday. So we have weekly sprints. So everyone knows that they have 1 or 2 things that have to get done by Friday, and they can contact me anytime in the week if they're not on pace to getting it done. So I enable my team on Monday. So it feels like I don't get much done on Monday, but I do because my team is working for me. That's where I queue up a lot of my emails. I still write all my own emails. I probably always will. It's just something that I feel good about. I like people to hear my voice. Queue up YouTube content, write some Instagram content for the week. That's typically a Monday. And then Fridays are podcast days, filming days. So I record podcasts. I'll also go to the gym, film workouts, film content. And that's the gist of my schedule. And then I take weekends off. Saturdays, gymnastics with the kids, whatever, family, dinner, sometimes try to get a babysitter, get out. Sunday morning, always go to church, kind of just chill. We got kids, right? So they have to nap every day in the afternoon. So we're around the house. We're typically around in town. So that's it, man. That's the week.
So you're big on organizing date nights, aren't you? To try and keep everything fresh. And
we try, man. We could do so much better. We try to do the weekly, but you got to find the sitters. You got to be intentional. It's one of those things a relationship can wither so quickly because you have to be intentional about it. She's with the kids all day. She doesn't have time to book a babysitter. I'm downstairs thinking, well, I'm working all day. So if both people have that attitude, I'm busy. I'm busy. Well, then all of a sudden, guess what happens? Your relationship goes to the gutter. So you have to be intentional. And, I send a DM to our next door neighbor and I say, hey, Mackenzie, can you come over Tuesday night so we can go to the movie? So you have to just try your best. If she's not picking up the slack, I have to pick up the slack and vice versa.
Yeah.
Of the 5M's you discussed, would you say marriage is the most difficult for you?
Oh my God. Yeah.
For most guys.
Big time, man. Because, yeah, it's the hardest, man. It's tough. Marriage is tough. It's one of the best things, but it's a full frontal view of you naked because your woman, she knows everything about you. Stuff that you wouldn't want to tell me, The stuff is like all your little quirks, all your bad habits, all your selfish habits. She knows those. And, one of the big things is to be in unison, because it's easy to start like blaming the other person or shaming the other person. And we try and live in a home, what we call grace. We try to extend forgiveness. We try and extend love, because it's just like, I'm a practical guy too. Put all the faith stuff aside. It's not fun. Like, it doesn't make sense to be fighting against each other. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't work for either person, right? So you can either be right, or you can be wrong. You can either be right or happy in a relationship. So I always tell guys, choose happiness over being right.
That's a solid bit of advice. Yeah.
Yes, but you can't be both. You got to understand, you can't be both. So one of the best pieces of advice that I can give on marriage is that everyone should be in marriage counseling from day one, because it's like, who's done it before? Like, you don't know anything about it. You need to learn. Like, there's a lot of like strategies you can use to fight well, like to ensure you don't say things that you regret saying that create new issues. There's so many different things that can help you, that if you just don't invest into learning them, like, why are you surprised you're getting into a fight? You've never had any coaching on how to fight properly. And we have a lot of these are a lot of the things I now share in the M5 newsletter, because this is stuff I didn't know. And I'm researching this stuff myself, like even simple texts, 15 texts you can send her this month that will just make her feel amazing, to feel special, to feel beautiful. Like, just being intentional about your relationship, putting the work into it. And if you put the work in, you'll get great results. It's like anything else. But that is the tough thing, because you kind of like, you don't see like that ROI, from the relationship, as opposed to say other things you put your time into, like your body, your business. But man, if you can invest into one woman, I mean, that's what's really like blown me away, that like, if you invest into her and build her up, man, woman will give you everything you want and everything you need, but you've got to make sure you keep her tank full. And that takes leadership from the man. The man has to go first, right? You can't be waiting for her to give you sex before you start treating her nicely. You can't be waiting for her to say sorry before, you go and like start like doing all the things that are nagging her. Like, you have to lead. That's what a man does. He leads. And even if she's like being a brat, even if she's like being high maintenance, it's called love. That's why it's called love. You have to love her, and you have to do what you don't feel like doing, because love is a decision. It's not a feeling. And that's where guys get mixed up. It's like, crap, I made a commitment to this girl. And just like going to the gym, we don't go to the gym just when it's like arm day. We have to go when it's leg day too, when it hurts. Yeah. Right? If you want your body, a good analogy. When you train your body, you can't skip leg day. Well, in a relationship, you can't skip the tough conversations, and you can't wait for her to initiate, or you can't wait for things to get really bad. You have to lead, even if it's like, yeah, but this, I always initiate. So what? What's your point? You're the man. Step up. So it's like, you gotta be around other men like that, or else you're gonna be hanging out with all these dudes that are just like trashing their women. Next thing you know, you go home and there's no more intimacy, there's no more love. Next thing you know, you're paying half your money out to her and the kids for the rest of your life, and you're wondering what the heck happened.
Speaking of being around other guys with the same sort of mindset, your dad's quite a big influence, isn't he? Like, I've heard some pearls of wisdom come from him.
Yeah, my father was a pastor for 35 years. So, but my dad taught me early on is like, how you show how you love your kids? You love your wife. That's how you show how you love your kids. All these guys, I love my kids, but I hate my wife. Well, that's incongruent. So you have to love her. And when your kids see you love her, then they see what a real man is. And then they understand, oh, okay, a real man sacrifices, a real man loves, a real man forgives, a real man listens, a real man has silent strength. And then and then the daughter sees how she's supposed to be treated when she meets a man, and the son sees how he's supposed to treat woman as he grows up. So that's how you love your kids, by how you treat your wife. So this is really important. And if you don't get this straight, I was just listening to some stats on divorce. The average divorce rate, I believe, is like 51 or 52%. Do you guys know what the stat is for people that get divorced and they get remarried again?
No.
it goes up to 63%.
Really?
And you know what happens with people that get divorced a second time and then remarried again?
No.
You think it'd be getting better, right? You think they'd be getting better every time. It goes up to 74%.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So statistics show that the more you not figure out how to work through it, the worse you get at it. You'll be like, oh yeah, they're going to kill it on the next marriage. She learned all these things. What happens is that you become desensitized to the pain.
Interesting. Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? Yeah.
So all this stuff that happened in the first marriage is happening to you again, and you're like, yeah, I've been here before. It's like, I've gone through all this. I've gone through these lows. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not dealing with this again.
Is it because these guys aren't taking time to learn and spend time on improving themselves?
Dude, that's, a lot of stuff. I mean, that's one of the big things. I don't believe couples should get divorced unless both parties have stopped working on each other, because you can't work on the other person. I can only work on myself.
Yeah.
Right. So, in a simple example, I could be blaming my wife for coming home late, and that's created her stress. And I'm yelling at her because you don't understand. You want to live in this home. You want to take this trip next month. I have to get this. I have to work. I have to get these emails out, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, but what a real man would say, you're right. Not because he wants to end the argument, but he says, you're right. This is my fault. I need to organize my schedule better. I am sorry. I will be home tomorrow at 8 a.m. Will you forgive me? And he will acknowledge that she's stressed out because you're not keeping your word. You're making excuses, and you fix your schedule, because I can't tell her, you always blow up. You don't understand. You like all this, but then you don't let me work an extra 15 minutes and you make a big deal out of it. I'm like, if I took that approach, we're going right down in the tube, right down in the gutter. But if I say, you're right, I need to get my shit together. I need to organize my schedule better. Yesterday, I was wasting time. I could have got to bed earlier, so I could have got to the gym on time, so I wouldn't have been late this morning, so I could have helped you out. You're right. I'm wrong. Will you please forgive me? Those are if the people listening to this call, I'll give you guys something. 3 most powerful sentences you can share in your relationship. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? Let's try it.
Game changers.
You're right.
You're right.
I'm wrong. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? And just those 4 little sentences can dissolve a lot, and then obviously mean it, and then do what you say you're going to do. And that's an example of taking ownership of the situation. And then all of a sudden, because I can't control her emotional reaction towards me coming home late, but I can control my schedule. I can control when I leave that gym. I can control if I sit an extra 5 minutes in the car before. I can control those things. So if I can control those things and I just respect what irritates her, and that's the problem. Guys are idiots. Dude, respect her biggest irritations and take them seriously. If you take her biggest irritation seriously, you won't have issues. It's really simple. Guys, we get in our own way. It's our ego. It's our pride. Yeah, but my dad never did that. Yeah, but I'm a man. No, but she needs to show respect. No, you've got to come in under the radar. You've got to love first. You've got to sacrifice. And then before you know it, you're like, that was easy. Then all of a sudden, she's loves you and she's in a great mood. And all of a sudden, you're like, man, this is great. But it requires you to put yourself last, take ownership, and you'll be surprised by how many situations you can just kind of dissolve, if you will, with those little 4 sentences, and then doing what you say you're going to do. Make your woman's biggest irritations your number 1 priority.
Some solid advice there. I like it.
It comes back to something you've been saying to us a lot across all platforms now, the concept of extreme ownership. It's something you kind of talked about a lot in Tampa as well for business, but it seems that it applies to pretty much everything, right?
Everything, man. Yeah. Great book, Extreme Ownership. Yeah.
So you mentioned the gym. We use that as an analogy, right? Coming back from the gym late. So let's go into the gym side of things. Although I find this stuff fascinating, some of our listeners are wanting the gym talk. So you built your name as the skinny guy savior, right? So for the listeners that are skinny guys trying to build muscle, what are the biggest mistakes that you see being made, and what should they be doing instead?
We talked about execution. So I really think when it comes to building muscle, really understanding that muscle growth comes from creating disadvantages to the muscle tissue specifically versus advantages. So if we can really separate out that building muscle tissue requires stress within the muscle, requires tension, requires damage, we have to now look at how are we performing our movements. So not so much what are we doing in the gym, but how are we doing it. So I think one of the biggest mistakes skinny guys make is they put too much emphasis on what they're doing versus how they're doing it. And not understanding that your body doesn't know the names of exercises, your body doesn't know numbers. Those are arbitrary. Your body understands force, and force is created internally. And to maximize force internally, we need to create disadvantages to the muscle. So that just might mean, on a biceps curl, standing biceps curl, we ensure we keep our core engaged so that when we curl, we're not doing the no curl bicep curl, and all we're doing is really just arching our back and moving our hips, and there's not really any extension or flexion at the elbow. So understanding that and being okay with, okay, cool. Certain exercises now don't make a ton of sense if I want to build muscle tissue, because maybe some exercises are more complicated because they require too much distribution of force, like a mini body parts as opposed to that one body part you're trying to build. So I think that's my first thing. I always help guys figure out, are you putting the tension into the muscle? As Arnold would say, are you getting the pump? Can you feel it? Can your muscles feel it? So, one of the very first tips I give guys in muscle camp, if it's just one thing they remember, it's go slow. Just slow the movement down, the concentric, the eccentric, and focus on getting your mind in the muscle and just learn how to contract your muscles against the resistance. And this is just really important to understand, because the way I decipher weight training in terms of bodybuilding versus powerlifting is bodybuilding is when your muscles work the weights, and powerlifting is when the weights work your muscles. And they're not right or wrong, they're just two different goals. So I think one mistake skinny guys also have is when they come to the gym is they're not sure what their primary goal is, right? And the primary goal of building muscle is to stimulate muscle tissue. To ensure that whatever program you're following, it has a strong emphasis on exercises that work well with your body, and that you can focus on creating that stress in the muscle, that damage to the muscle, and that tension in the muscle, so that you get that pump, so you get that cell swelling. And again, I have no problem with the strength. It's a huge piece of your ongoing progress. But I think that gets placed really maybe a little too early for a lot of youngsters who just kind of get really caught up in just going heavy, heavy, heavy. They create poor movement patterns. And what happens is they do get strong, but they're dispersing the load to so many different muscle groups. They're not getting the aesthetic results that they want. So just really emphasizing form. I think that's like the number one muscle building killer of guys. And I think even if you look at the most advanced guys, the guys on Instagram and pro stages who look phenomenal, I would say their biggest opportunity, without a shadow of a doubt, is improving their technique, because these guys are already gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal. But what they need is, they don't need more gas pedal. They've already got that gas pedal slammed. They need more steering. and steering is execution. So I think even at I was just having a great podcast with Joe Bennett. Joe Bennett, a hypertrophy coach, and he worked with the late Dallas McGarver. And he was telling me that when he worked with Dallas McGarver, one of the top bodybuilders in the world, the guy's got the biggest arms in the world, like the biggest arms in the world. And Joe was showing him some of these really basic cable extension exercises. And if I recall, when he posted them, he was getting comments like, what the heck's this? There's these cable extension exercises. And Dallas told Joe that after, I forget what show it was, this is on my podcast, that his arms had never looked better. He said, I never see improvements in my arms from show to show because they're always so big. But this one show, he started incorporating some movements that really focused on precision, execution, not load, but tension. And he noticed a difference in his triceps. So even at the highest level of the sport, these are I would say the top bodybuilders in the world, their opportunity is not a better, what do you call it, cycle of steroids or whatever, not going harder in the gym, but better execution.
Yeah. I listened to your podcast with Joe, by the way. It was very good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was good. So if you could turn back the clock to when you're in your mid to late 20s, what would you tell yourself? Let's go life in general. It doesn't have to be training. Can be training, could be life, could be relation, whatever.
I think I would have brought on more quality control, just to kind of like oversee some of the things I was doing in terms of I think I would have brought like a Big Ben into the picture earlier. Because, when I was just like, go, and, turn the camera on, let me talk. And, sometimes you get all over the place. You lose that quality control, that credibility along the way. So I think having somebody looking over my shoulder more from an expert standpoint, I had like great guys like Ian King and Charles Poliquin, but like I could have been more intentional maybe about where I was getting some of my information. I think it could have been even more superior. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing just to keep that rod in the pond in terms of investing into your education when it comes to your skill set.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk a lot about mistakes that people make with finding their or having their identity based on their business or their lifting or their relationship. What does identity mean to you?
That's a good question. My identity would be, I'd have to say, like, how the people who know me, if my identity would be like, if you went and say, hey, Flavia, what's it really like being with Vince? Mm-hmm. What would she tell you?
Yeah.
If you talk to some of my close friends, my parents, some of my brothers, when they've seen me like in my own world and not texting the family for days at a time, weeks at a time, sometimes, what would they say about me? That's my identity. But what the people who know me best, what would the guys in the coaching program, like you guys know me, and I think I'd be pretty happy with what I hear for the most part. But like, I would be like, those little things would be like, some of those things would sting maybe. Like, so what do the people who know me most think about me? I think that's how I would. Yeah, go. What's that? Go for it.
Ask Flavia this. Or your close friends? Have you?
Yeah. I sometimes joke around with her, like, you wish you married another guy, and she's like, I don't think like that.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So, I know sometimes I kid around, but like, I know overall, like, what I'm bringing to the table is of a lot of value. I know I'm a work in progress. I think one of my best traits is like, I'm really humble. I'm just joking. I hate when people do that. One of my best traits is super. I was kidding. But I think I'm very teachable. Like, I had my coaching call last night with Bedros, and he gave me some great advice. And I think teachability is the breakfast of champions. And some guys that I've seen who've slipped and have made some more bigger errors than others aren't as teachable. They project it, but when you see their actions, they're like, you didn't listen to a word I said.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything I just told you, or they're just like, So I think being teachable is a really underrated trait. And I think that's something that I'm good at. So if I am off course, I'll pivot. I'll get back on course, and I'm open to it. I don't get defensive.
Yeah, you gave us a couple of examples at the mastermind where you've changed course a little bit with like the clothing line, the supplement line, and it's so refreshing to like hear you in front of us teaching a room of like 65 people and just holding your hands up and going, I got carried away, and it took Bedros is just like, right, don't do it, and you followed suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So a couple of rapid fire questions. If you're in a strict dieting phase, what would be your go-to cheat meal?
Pizza.
Pasta.
Pizza, pasta, calamari, and then a chocolate brownie for dessert.
Oh, good shout on that. Yeah, I'm with you on that, definitely. Favorite drink?
Favorite drink? A margarita.
Margarita. And who should we interview next?
Oh, that's a good question. What do you want? I don't want to just shoot a name out.
What do we want? Akash, what do we want?
So we don't want someone who's just going to talk about muscle for an hour. We'd like someone who's quite well-rounded, but can also provide value to our audience.
Yeah, like this, like with you, it's been perfect, right? You've got that transition through life where people listening to our podcast, they're probably similar mindsets to Akash and I for the most part. So they want to improve their training results and so on, but they probably don't just want to listen to that. Like I find it interesting talking to you, and you're talking about money. You're talking about marriage. The 5M's. They're interesting to me. I'm at that stage of my life now. I turn 28 next week. These are considerations for me now. So anyone that's, I guess, on the same wavelength as you.
Appeal to growth-oriented people, essentially.
Yeah, people that want to better themselves. You appeal to them, right? Like if I wanted to just stand still and stay where I am, I would just find, I'm not going to name names. Many people on Instagram that just look great, and post some science up every so often. But yeah, I want something a bit more than that. You know who's great? Have you guys interviewed Craig yet?
No,
Valentine.
Great. Yeah.
No,
he's awesome. Craig's the best. You'll love Craig. I also think my coach, Ryan Fanley, he's my strength coach. He writes does all of our programming. You guys would have a heyday talking programming for one. He does all of our one-on-one coaching, but he's a family man. Super, super awesome, funny, hilarious dude. Ryan would bring the thunder. Ryan is awesome. And trying to think of some guys that you might not know. Joe would be great. Joe Bennett. He's so smart. Family man as well, just kind of making his way now that he's out on his own. So he would be a lot of fun. Those would probably be a few guys I'm just thinking recently.
Yeah.
Joe, Ryan, and Craig.
Perfect.
Sounds good.
Talk us through San Diego briefly. What's the plan for the weekend? Have you got anything?
Yeah.
Any guest speaker? Can you divulge any of that information to us yet?
I've invited the Mind Pump guys. I got to follow up with them. They're super busy. So they've got one of the biggest podcasts. Drew Canoli, the CEO of Organifi, is going to pop in. They're doing over 25 mil a year with Organifi. So he's going to come in and talk about how he blew up that supplement company. He lives downtown San Diego. I also asked Jason Capital to come in. He's got a huge brand, dating brand and that, but dude's just wicked smart when it comes to marketing, like ninja when it comes to funnels, building your celebrity influence celebrity. So I'm going to see if he can pop in, and Craig's confirmed for sure.
Craig Valentine.
Yeah. So you guys can actually interview him there if you wanted. He's going to pop in
that'd be great.
And speak. So those four guys. Is there anybody you guys want to hear from?
I think the most relatable one for us would probably, and you already had him on the coaching call in the end, was Jason Phillips, because he's sort of very similar business to us. Can you think of anyone else, Akash?
I think I mentioned to him Jason Ferrugia would be quite cool to meet.
Oh yeah, Jay. He's out in I wonder how far it is. Jay's a great guy. Yeah, Jay would be awesome for your podcast too.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite guys to follow. So
hit him up. Yeah, you should. Jay would be nice. I haven't had him on mine yet, but he'd bring the thunder for sure. Jay's awesome, dude.
You know him personally?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we started almost at the same time.
Yeah.
The muscle stuff, and he's had an evolution himself, and he's really killing the podcast. He's just really focused on that, and just a super genuine guy.
Perfect. Great. Thanks very much for that, Vince. Appreciate
Sure.
that.
Sure.
Where can people find out about you?
Instagram for daily motivation, and I really try and share, as I try and make those posts as meaty as possible. So Instagram for family, muscle building workouts, online business advice, and if they want muscle building workouts, YouTube, just search my name, Vince Del Monte. And if they want a free muscle building workout, getlivinglarge.com. That's where we're doing a free book giveaway for anybody who's looking to get buff. That's my book. And those would be the 3 best spots.
Awesome. Thanks again, Vince. We look forward to seeing you in San Diego. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. As always, if you've enjoyed it, please just hit subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, which is @AdamHaley1. You can follow Akash, which is @AkashVigela. And then also our business page, which is @RNT_fitness.
And our website is www.rntfitness.co.uk. So hit us up.
Keep killing it, guys.
Thank you.